Oh boy, running it back another time. The soon-to-be executed Mayor of Glazewood. The most long overdue deliverable you have probably ever seen is this tier list, and you know what we're gonna do this time? To make things a little more interesting, I'm just gonna throw it up right here. This is the tier list, okay? And I mean, this definitely does not spark joy or spark any emotion really. And like, all you can glean from this is, oh look, limited banner character very high, non-limited banner character very low, and then Nekomata on the bottom. But that's it. You can't really tell anything that's gonna, support your decision to pull. But Zenless doesn't work like that. You're way more interactive with the characters that you have. And I mean, just look at the way that their kits are made. We don't have a single character in the game that doesn't do damage with their EX special or special. Like, everyone can do something, right? And I mean, Star Rail and Genshin can do, basic attackers or physical attackers. But I mean, at the same time, there are very clear-cut differences between, characters that are made for damage, as well as characters that are made for, supportive side things that probably are like way higher in the tier list than the damage dealer. And honestly, when I look at these tier lists, I don't gain any meaningful information from it. Like, I mean, sure, they're strong, but like, are they fun to play? What makes them really strong? Do they have a piece of utility that's really good? We have people who main Corrin, Billy, Ben, all these little like off-meta / weak characters. I mean, based on their rarity, based on their numbers, but people are still getting insane success. There's a guy who's able to reach level 1000 with Billy only. Like, it just doesn't make sense on how you're able to classify characters as being, tier 3 or tier 2 or whatever, despite their results being so high. And also, I mean, okay, you technically could just get really good equipment and just put it on any character and they'll be good, but just look at it, okay? This list sucks, and I'm here to propose a solution to this problem. Instead of it being a tier list, we're going to be putting you, on a more of a gameplay-oriented chart with 4 separate metrics based on, DPS and support, 2 each. And we're going to be placing characters there, and I'll be giving a little bit of an explanation on why. But before we get into the content, I mean, quick Discord plug. I'm in Glazewood here. We're going to have an execution of me because I didn't upload a video, and have no real excuses. I mean, you can open up the Soldier posting channel and you have like 20 of the same stickers over and over. I think that's pretty cinematic in my opinion. But I mean, we also have to glaze some boosters here real quick. So thank you to Alexio, Eric, GFighter98, Bernie Boy, Dio, Game Heat, Kiro, King Murder, Omega, Ordinary Guy, Oreo, Say Less, and Tusk Tales. I mean, in the background footage with the Miyabi footage, that is from Bernie Boy. That's why he's the GOAT. And I mean, if you do have footage that you want me to use in any of my videos, be sure to just let me know. I mean, you don't have to boost the server. If you want to put it in the video, just ping me and I'll definitely find a way to put it in. But yes, thank you again so much for all the support. It is 2025 and we were actually very close to 2,000 subscribers. And I mean, what if that was, 2,025 subscribers? Me personally, thinks that's cinema, but that's just me. All right, no more goobing. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Bye-bye. All right. By the looks of this, it is not a political compass, okay? But it is also definitely not, a graphics design is my passion. It's more so this is something that I'm being commissioned to do for the very first time in my life. Oh my goodness gracious, it's terrible. All right, we're gonna start this off with the categorizations. We have DPS and support split down the middle. We will be having certain characters, kind of teeter on the edge. And by certain characters, I just meant Ben. So Benjamin Largington is just gonna be, he's gonna appear on both sides. And oh boy. All right. No more stalling. Let's describe these metrics first. On the DPS side, we have the x-axis represented with the payoff, which goes from, low to high. And on the y-axis, we have effort, which goes, from low to high as well. But what the main idea for this is, how much are you going to be rewarded for all the effort that you put in? I'll get to the support half later on, but we're going to first start off with the DPS characters, and we're going to go from the corners or like, the most extreme ends of the chart. I will say that there is no low effort, low reward character yet, because all the characters in this game are decently functional, but at the same time, there are still characters. And also, another thing to note, do not consider this as pull value or anything of the sort. I am trying my absolute hardest to avoid making things as boring as, oh, this character is strong, pull them, or this character will be weak and will hinder your account. I'm just saying here, we should focus more on what the character provides to you, especially when it comes to how much you're going to put in and how much you're going to get out. In terms of gameplay, not in terms of your pulls. I actually lied earlier. I'm going to start off at the dead center right now. And who else to start us off besides Billy Kid? And by putting him here, he is the center unit. He is our middle of the line character. He is able to, give you enough reward for putting in a decent amount of effort. His kit allows you to, get rewarded for your pretty simple setup where you're just trying to enter crouch state. And I mean, he is technically the only character in the game that has a long range attack, and he's also able to just do it forever. I was trying to get some extra polychromes. I was like sitting there with the Hollow Zero Trust event, and he was just sitting there on his knee, and I was like, wait, he can just do this forever? And I was like, I mean, it makes sense. He does have some technical stuff that you can do. The goal is to make sure that he's able to sit on his knee forever. But I mean, the reward for that, it's nothing too crazy. But I mean, I can see the vision, all right? He is going to be our baseline unit. It's one of those things where you will be rewarded for your effort that you put in, but the yield, I mean, it won't be too crazy, so it's all right. Also, okay, he's the only dedicated range unit in the game. He's also, like, I think it's him and Caesar are like the only two characters that are able to easily get to level 1000 on the tower. I'm pretty sure Billy just sits on his knee and keeps on firing over and over. And then for Caesar, you just have to keep pairing everything. It's pretty interesting, and I mean, him being the, the free 4-star unit that's able to do that, I think that's pretty neat, alright? But some people won't find it enjoyable. I personally am part of that group, but I can definitely see where the value comes from. But a character that kind of just doesn't really do it for me, it's our next one. Slightly to the southwest, it's gonna be Anton. Unfortunately, this character has such a clear-cut role that when I'm doing my job on the character, I low-key fall asleep at the wheel because like, it's just rough for me. Like, I get it, okay? Have a very clear-cut role, so you know exactly when you have to get onto the field. Ideally, if they're stunned as well. But at the same time, like, I'm falling asleep at the wheel here. Like, when I'm in burst mode, I just feel like I'm so static, and it just is, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like that affects the payoff the most for me, mainly because he just feels so clunky when he's in burst mode and his attacks take so long to transition through things. Like, seriously, he is so similar to Harumasa, but it just doesn't do it for me. And I do know that there are people who really enjoy this character, but at the same time, I feel like you're not rewarded enough in terms of like audio or even visually to see like, oh, this character, I'm actually being rewarded for, the very low effort that I'm putting into him. That being said, I'm not roasting the character. He definitely has his very clear-cut role, and I think that's really nice. And then, I mean, Harumasa also doesn't directly like creep him, but the way that they both use shock effects in their, their unique ways, one is far more interactive than the other. It's just an all right feeling when you're using Anton. And I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me, mainly because I don't have a mono electro core, so I wouldn't have the most experience with it either. I can easily see him moving, but that's just my take for now. I'm sorry if I offended any Anton heads, but I mean, let's talk about the next one on the bottom left. And it's actually crazy how we have half of Belobog in this quadrant. I mean, guess who? There's only one Benjamin Lodgington in the cast. And I mean, he's gonna appear in both of the charts. Unfortunately, Ben is the most clunky and slow-moving character in the game. Literally the slowest runner in the game. But also his kit just is like, no, dude. Why does he do so much damage but only on the counterattack? And like, why is the rest of his kit locked behind his Wenjin? I just don't understand. It just feels like a big mistake when you're just running him as a support, right? When you run him as the, the DPS way that his Wenjin kind of leans you towards, it just doesn't work because of how long it takes to get your stack, and also because if the enemy is stunned, you can't get the counterattack. I personally believe that it's still low effort because you just have to be on the field to counterattack, right? But you're rewarded very, very minimally because he's not building up high stun after he does this counter. He's only doing like, his big instance of damage, but then he can only do that every so often because his Wenjin goes on cooldown. And when that happens, it's like, oh, what am I even gonna do with this character besides switch to the other one? And this is supposed to be for the DPS characters. It's just a mess, and I think that his character just falls apart because of his counter-focused nature. And I'm sorry, alright? I'm sorry, Ben heads. Like, I know you guys are crazy at this character. I know he has those 300 million damage nukes. It is what it is. But I'm just saying, alright? This character does not treat you nicely. Think of him like Blizzard Overwatch trying to treat players nicely. You know what I'm saying? Alright, okay. So I actually had this list a little wrong before. Nekomata was supposed to be in the bottom left, but I decided to move her to the actual tier maker and give her her own tier on an empty tier list. And I'm actually going to put her in the Overwatch tier list characters, and we're going to put her on Nekomata tier at the bottom, below Lifeweaver. And we're going to leave her there because I don't want to talk about her for now. So instead, we're going to go up to quadrant 2, and we're going to talk about Korin, who is our corner character for the low payoff and very high effort. This character is so shy that she absolutely does not want to show her face on the field until the enemy is stunned and you have all your buffs up. Like, if there are multiple enemies on the field and you only are able to stun one of them at a time, oh, dude. Oh no. You have to focus on using this character against bosses only, pretty much. And I don't know, I find that really annoying, especially when you're playing this character. Like, she has no cleave at all, and then when she's able to do single target damage, she shreds, okay? But having to set up that specific scenario is really annoying. Like, if you're running into the Jane boss, for example, right? If you run Korin in her, she's going to get the first part of her EX special out, and then she has to swap back out instantly because the boss is already out of stun. But when she's good, I mean, her peaks are really high, especially considering that she's a 4-star character. But at the same time, if you're not a fan of the slower and single target focused character, I mean, if you're gonna invest in her, just know that this is what's gonna happen, especially in hordes of enemies. But this is one of those characters that if you do really like her, you are not going to get criticized, and honestly, you should join up in Glazewood because we have a pretty large Korin council here, alright? Okay, no more trolling. Let's actually get into what people want to talk about. Let's talk about our broken characters before we talk about our highly technical characters. Alright, there are 3 characters in this quadrant. I'm gonna tell you that all 3 of them are limited banner characters, and let me tell you this, surprise surprise, all 3 of them are anomaly units. Let's start off with the one that's not in the corner. It's Jane, okay? I actually forgot to put her on this list for some reason. I don't even know how that was possible, but let's look at this character. Oh my goodness gracious, she has such a high payoff for such low effort. Like, literally, she has 3 dodges. She has 3 dodges. You don't even have to try when you're dodging, okay? Like, her counterattack takes a million years to complete, and then you're also able to extend the duration. But the reason why she's not on the bottom right is because she has Passion State. This mechanic is not nearly as easy as the character kits of the bottom 2 right characters. I mean, You already know who they are, but we'll get to them later. You need to be able to dodge. You can, you know, set up your chain attack properly. She also is able to do, you know, just ridiculous amounts of on-field damage. She does not have to get off-field at all. I mean, it's just ridiculous what Jane is able to do. But at the same time, I mean, the payoff for just running and mashing mouse 1 is ridiculous, okay? She has insane single target, insane AoE. She has everything that you'd want in terms of DPS. And I mean, just look at these numbers that you're able to do. And it's just unbelievable, all right? What's actually more unbelievable are the next two characters we're going to talk about. We have Miyabi and Yanagi. Oh my goodness gracious, what were they thinking with these characters? I do not understand how they decided to make an Acheron tier character thrown just into our faces this early in the game, and then you can tell it's like you know exactly who their favorite character is. She has 4 cinematics. She basically has 2 theme songs at this point. She claims Come Alive. I'm not gonna say how, but she claims that song because, you know, anime opening occurrence in the story. She has the Wenjin. She has her own element. And then the way that her character functions, oh my goodness gracious. This character is just so stupid. You are ideally building her with DPS stats because she is ridiculously strong and she's able to, you know, flex into both categories very easily. She has a 3000% multiplier on her final charge attack, I'm pretty sure, if you have max stacks. And then, you know, you have her ult, which looks sick, right? And then all of her attacks have like 20 million years of invincibility frames. Like, what are they thinking, man? This character is so easy. Like, you don't even have to dodge 90% of the time. And even then, I'm pretty sure her kit is meant to be, you know, DPS support flex, but you don't have to care about the DPS part because, you know, her kit ideally leans you into the way of building crit stats, and then it doesn't affect how effective her actual support part is. And it's just, I can't. I don't understand why they did this. Man, my words per minute there went kind of crazy there, no? But I mean, what can I say? This character is so unimaginably powerful. It's also, you know, kind of obvious that they want you to pull this character because of how many roles that we've been given this version. Like, this is not even an opinion. This is just straight fact. This character is the lowest effort character with the highest amount of reward in the game, and it is going to be really hard to outdo her. Unimaginable DPS, insane utility, all integrated into her kit seamlessly. You don't have to try, and she rewards you with 20 million dennies, all right? Think about it like that. Like, that's way too much glaze for a character that's not Soldier 11. I'm just saying, all right? Like, I'm at least somewhat aware of that because, I mean, next character is Yanagi. Now, I don't have as much to say about her as Miyabi because she's just really strong on her own. But at the same time, the way her kit plays, it's just very, very easy. You don't really have to try too hard with her. Like, as long as there's a combo going and you're able to, you know, press skill at the right time to avoid damage or to, you know, switch to the other mode during your animations. But like, in terms of satisfaction, I mean, it's not a metric on here. Like, that would just be a meh. Because like, this character is just, she's really strong, okay? Like, playing her, when I see the self-disorder do like 300,000 damage or whatever, I'm just like, what in the world did I just witness? But at the same time, like, I don't know. If you do use her in combination with Miyabi, like in the event, for example, also this event, by the way, was insanely good. If I do make a slot post after this, it will definitely be including this. Like, I love this event so much. Like, Yanagi has a unique combat style, okay? She can work against pretty much anything, and it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I will credit her for this. She's not as busted as Miyabi in terms of like how heinously strong she is, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it just won't be for everyone, all right? But now, I think it's time we transition to the actual interesting section. All 4 of these characters are attackers, and we're gonna go from left to right. We are going to start off with Ellen. I just don't know how to play her that well, but at the same time, I mean, you do have to kind of go through a lot of effort to actually set her up properly. In my opinion, at least, I think you're not rewarded nearly as much as you should be, mainly because your attacks do take a very long time to go out. There is satisfaction in seeing the big numbers appear over and over, but at the same time, I mean, like, I don't know, it's just not doing it for me. Mainly because I couldn't figure her out in like the 4 or 5 event trials that we've had to actually use her. But I mean, then again, that's also part of it. But I mean, the payoff just wouldn't be there because I had to try so much harder to understand her. And from looking at gameplay of her as well, I'm like, these attacks just, they're just a little too slow for me. But in terms of payoff, I mean, she isn't in the negative, all right? It just depends on who the person you're talking to is. I personally am not much of a believer, but I mean, this is, you know, the first limited banner character in the game. Like, if you don't want to build a Miyabi or even pull her, don't feel pressure to, because Ellen is still really solid on her own. But yeah, I mean, there's not much I can actually add to this character, mainly because I'm not a full-on, you know, Ellen knower. But later on in the future, if I do understand how her kit works a little bit more, and I'm actually able to, you know, effectively get stacks and use her attacks properly, I can easily see her sliding over to the higher payoff with the same amount of effort. But now in the spot where Ellen would most likely be if I knew how her kit worked, we have the second attacker limited banner character. Oh, once you look at that, it's Zhu Yuan. Now, okay, I have this character, and I think I just don't like the way that she plays. Objectively speaking, she is very strong and she's very effective at her job. but it just doesn't do it for me, okay? She's good against ethereals, and obviously you are going to be rewarded for putting in the effort of stunning the enemy, having your Nicole buffed, but at the same time, the payoff just isn't there. There isn't a lot for me to feel when I just see the big number, but like having to cycle this thing where I have to wait for the stun window to come back now, and then I can do big damage. Like, she's obviously able to do damage in between, but at the same time, it just takes way too long to get back to that peak, and it just doesn't do it for me personally. I mean, that's the Soldier 11 brain talking right there. Like, obviously she's really good, right? Her payoff is pretty decent, but at the same time, like, I don't know how to put it properly. She's there because we know that she's good, and I know that she's good, but at the same time, I don't feel like she's that good when I'm playing her. It's like one of those instances where it's like I'm making this character look balanced despite them being, you know, objectively broken. But I mean, obviously her kit is pretty fast as well. I mean, her attacks are really neat. She has her unique bullet management kit. She has a lot of things going for her, but for me personally, I think she's just gonna be going to the bench, you know what I'm saying? All right, last two. Here we go. Of course, I'm going to talk about my personal GOAT here. That is the one and only Soldier 11. She's there for max payoff, but also like 90% of the way there for effort, mainly because this character is able to do some pretty big things. The reason why that payoff is so high though is because she can just keep on attacking forever. You do not want this character to swap off the field. This is what makes Jane fun, and at the same time, this is what makes Soldier 11 fun. And I find her even more enjoyable than Jane because I actually have to put in at least some effort to actually get the infusions off. If you were to tell me that Diluc could infuse his attacks as long as he attacked in rhythm, I would honestly go back to playing Genshin again if there was that character there and I could pull them. But I mean, I don't even have to. I could just play them in Zenless right now as Soldier 11. Like, being able to be rewarded for the effort that you put in to learn the rhythm of your attacks, as well as, you know, cycling your characters properly to maintain buffs and keeping Soldier 11 on field like 98% of the time. Now that is peak character design. But what's crazy is that she is not the high effort, high payoff GOAT. In terms of character enjoyability, my number 3 character is this guy. Harumasa is so insanely good. You have to go through so much setup to get this character to do some crazy things. You have to make sure the enemy is stunned. You have to make sure that you're applying enough shock anomalies to actually, you know, get your stacks. But once you get enough stacks and you have the perfect situation, you just go crazy. I'm pretty sure the video was like 21 slashes. I don't know if I can find it or not, but if I can't, I mean, you just have my Chungus Harumasa video in the background. But like, you have so much reward for all the effort that you put in. Like, just listen to that sound. Just, oh man. It's crazy how good he is, all right? He's crazy good. Like, just look at the way he plays. He's so fast. At the same time, you just need to set up properly, use your skill properly, make sure that you're blocking enough shocks. And I think all that effort is so worth it because you're rewarded so hard with an insane combo sequence that no other character in this game is able to actually provide you. He's also able to do really good impact damage, so he's able to stun on his own, which is crazy. But I mean, I just can't stop. This guy is so good. Eventually, I do want to make him stronger. I'll probably be giving him my Brimstone when I get these certain cursed characters Wenjin to put on my Soldier 11. But I guess before we just forget about the character completely, I guess I gotta talk about Nekomata. She's a high effort, middle of the line payoff character. The main problem with the payoff is because you have to put in so much work to maintain her buffs and whatnot that it just gets really annoying because it's like, I really want you to stay on field and use your really fast attacks to do something, but I can't because I have to keep on switching out to reapply my buffs, you know, proc an anomaly if I have to. And it's just really annoying sometimes, especially when I'm playing her. Like, I get it, she's fun, okay? She's very fast. She has the backstab mechanic, which is really unique, but I personally believe that it eats into your payoff kind of hard, so it just ends up making it a very meh experience overall. You notice how she like sapped all the energy out of my voice in that section? Yeah, that's just what this is what happens when she steals my Miyabi I was just gonna have on my account, you know, for later, just in case I needed it. Like, I did not need M1 Nekomata. I just didn't. I really didn't. Okay, before I, you know, forget about it completely, I will most likely make another video talking about character playstyles, mainly because I think that deserves its own section, and also because there are a lot of characters in this game. And this should be focused more so on this chart, so we will just be moving on into the support section next. This is a long video, okay? This is like twice as long as anything I've ever made, at least. But yeah, let's start with the support section. This includes supporters, defenders, as well as stunners, but at the same time, we do actually have some anomaly characters here. I'm not saying that you can't run them as an attacker, but for me personally, I found the 3 characters that are on here, you know, to not cross over too far into damage dealer territory. I will be leaving them here on this part of the list, where our axes are now efficiency on the y-axis, you know, how effective they are while they're on the field for however long that they are. And then the more personalized metric on the x-axis, which is satisfaction, however long that the character is on the field. And this can come in the form of just the way that their attacks hit the enemy, sound effects, and whatnot, right? But anything to make the brain chemicals flow whenever I'm using a support character. But yeah, let's kick this off with our centered character. Somehow, some way, it's Bernice. So this character is alright, okay? I will say that she has a very good piece of utility when it comes to her afterburn, being able to proc disorders. When you use her with Yanagi, oh my goodness gracious, she goes insane. But she's not very efficient with her field time, especially if you use that held attack. Oh my goodness, it is so slow and so awkward. When you're able to do the double flamethrower burst with your special, I think that's really good. But the fact that you have to tag them with the held attack, it's just no good. Honestly, I think swapping back to her to refuel is just a little awkward sometimes. But easily that is something that is on me because I've only played characters that have fast swaps. Like I've been using a quick swap support in my team since like the first 4 weeks of the game, so obviously it's going to be a little biased, and it's unfortunate because I think her double flamethrower is like really satisfying to use, but at the same time having to, you know, do the health attack to apply the afterburn afterwards, that kind of just undoes all the satisfaction that comes from using the skill. But that's why I personally believe that she is centered perfectly in the middle among all of these characters. Ideally, I'll get this character later on rerun maybe, but in terms of her position on this chart, I mean, she does pretty well being the centerpiece, and I honestly believe that everything built around her is decently well thought out. So yeah, before we go on to, you know, the extreme corners, what if we just went straight down all the way to the bottom of efficiency and we have it, you know, in the middle of satisfaction? We're gonna put Nicole right here. Like, I get it, okay? Her debuff is really strong, okay? It's like 40% defense ignore, but at the same time, it's 4 seconds. And honestly, she might actually be the reason why I don't like playing JUN. I don't understand why Nicole has to steal so much field time from everyone else just to reapply her terribly short buff. Like, okay, it does have the vacuum effect too, which is really nice depending on who you're playing. Like, she forces herself onto the field way too much, and I just find that really annoying when I'm just trying to play the game and, you know, get some JUN shots off. And yeah, I mean, in terms of satisfaction, honestly, it's there because it has the vacuum effect. Like, sometimes I know for a fact I'm trying so hard to mind control myself into believing that it's necessary because the buff is so strong, but man, it is so hard to do it sometimes, all right? But she is not as bad in terms of satisfaction as a character like Rina. Rina is very like one like little tick mark above Nicole in terms of efficiency. Unless you have M1, both of these characters fall to the same problem. Both of these characters end up forcing their way onto the field way too much, mainly because their buff or debuff doesn't last long enough. And M1 Rina is able to increase the duration of her buff, so she's able to handle that problem in her kit. What's actually crazy is how Sokaku is somehow less clunky than these characters. Like, I don't understand, okay? All right, we need to get out of this quadrant for now, and we're just gonna go upwards into the high efficiency and low satisfaction. The top character for this, it's Kaleda. Oh man, the times have changed against this character. She is so disconnected from playing the game that I don't even know, right? There's no other way to describe it. The center banner decided to give me, you know, 2 more of her as well, and I really definitely wanted that. You know, any, you know, Grace could have been nice. It's another Soldier 11 con, so I could have M2, you know. But no, I get 2 Kaledas, so that's awesome, isn't it? This character has problems. So, is anyone going to explain to me why she has an extended basic attack that you really don't want to use because it takes a million years? Is there any reason why she's focused only on her EX special? Is there a reason why using her EX special isn't satisfying at all, despite her kit pretty much being centered around it? It's just a mess. But then again, she's really efficient with her field time. Like, you get in, you dash, you get the second hit in, and then EX special, and then you're swapping off. Like, that's all it is. That's her entire cycle. Like, yes, you can run her with Ben, but that's a combination of characters and, you know, it's 2 slots. I'm trying to look at these characters on their own, but even then, Kaleda just is, jeez. I don't even know, okay? This character is just such a mess for me. I liked when she was good on my team at the beginning of the game, but with the introduction of new characters and different playstyles, like, she has just fallen off the face of the earth for me, especially in terms of satisfaction. She's good at what she does, but she is very soulless and it just feels rough playing her. But in the future, I mean, her core passive buff that she gives might actually have some value, but for now it's just really mid. I'm just saying. Man, we just hit the 3x depressing combo, right? We went from Nicole to Rina, then to Kaleda. But I guess now, we're gonna go to Lucy. We have a very solid character here. Very good attack buff. She's able to do some pretty decent damage on her own with the pigs as well. I mean, overall, she's a pretty solid character. But in terms of satisfaction, she is pretty low because, I mean, have you seen how long she stays on the field? She's just like Kaleda, but I mean, she can stay a little bit longer. I mean, you do want to have the charge pig because you want to extend that buff duration. But then also, okay, she has one of the most crazy M2s. Like, it fixes her kit kind of a lot. Like, just being able to trigger cheer on while you're doing a chain attack is just insanely powerful. Like, it literally changes your chain attack order based on if you have it or not. Like, it even tells you to upgrade the chain attack as well. It has an option on the bottom left when you're looking at upgrade suggestions. But, I mean, she's efficient, but she's not that soulful, I guess. She's really good, but she just doesn't do it for me because, you know, it's a little too brief, and the satisfaction of using her attacks is just not that great. All right, that's like a 4, that's like a 3, that's like 4 in a row that are like kind of So to remedy that, let's go to the bottom right quadrant. These characters are basically hogs on field time, but at the same time, they're insanely satisfying to use. So it kind of makes up for that. We're gonna go to the bottom right corner where we have 2 characters sharing this spot. Guess who? Ben and Sokaku. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's start with Ben here because he kind of got flattened in the previous section. I'd say in terms of satisfaction, the nuke is what makes him good. And the counterattack as well. That's satisfying. But does he really have to stay here on the field for 20 million years, okay? And note how it's not the nuke, it's just the counterattack because we're the support section, right? Not the DPS section. He's able to provide the crit rate for the team, pretty decent. But I mean, he sometimes can just sit there forever because the enemy could just not attack you at all. So it's just kind of a mess when he's on the field. And I mean, it's very similar to Sokaku though. Both of these characters maintain this corner position for different reasons. Ben can stay there for a million years and the enemy could just not hit him. And then Sokaku is the reason why we have manual chain attack canceling. That chain attack takes so long, you lose like more than half the stun duration of a character that's not stunned by later. Like, oh, I cannot believe that this was the reason why they added it. Like that mono ice team was like hard bottlenecked by DPS by Sokaku's existence. It's actually just crazy. But I mean, outside the chain attack, her EX special is ridiculous. That is some crazy satisfaction that takes a million years to go through. But you know what? It is sick and I'm fine with it. Actual Thanos saying, you have my respect, Sokaku, type of thing. So let's actually move up a little bit more. Let's talk about our elite enemy stunning unit, my GOAT Seth. Oh my goodness gracious. I say Seth's buffs are really good. I mean, they're anomaly focused, so he's like the Jane slave. Sometimes I'd be like, ooh, why can't I just be Seth? Ooh. But I mean, okay, his EX special when you full charge it takes a million years, so you're really just switching off to another character as he does it. And then there's also his charge attack, which, you know, takes a while to actually get done, and you have to stay on him the whole time because he's not gonna be able to pass the buff to your slot 1. That I find really annoying, and I feel like he should be able to do that automatically. But again, I mean, I did mention earlier, he's able to stun elite enemies, or bosses, I'm pretty sure, as long as they're able to move. He's able to do that just by using his held EX attack, and that is insanely good. He does a lot of damage on his own. He's able to proc decent disorders, I'm pretty sure. And I mean, like, he's alright. He's an alright character. He's just a little slow sometimes, but I will say he is very satisfying to do, especially when you interrupt boss enemies. Like, I just find that so insanely cool. And also that weapon low-key be cinematic. I'm just saying. But I mean, alright, that's enough goobing over the Seth guy. Let's move up onto the line right before we get into the actual, you know, peak corner. All right, we got to go through Andy, the actual fun gatekeeper. It's kind of crazy to think that this character is actually pretty solid, except her efficiency, it lacks kind of a lot, only when they meet the criteria of the fossilized Wenjin. And once that health threshold changes, it's over. All right, it's just over. I will say though, her combos are really satisfying to do. I mean, you can juggle enemies too, but I mean, for what purpose? I guess you have the neat combo. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going for her, but I mean, given that she's a free character that you literally get at the start of the game, you can't really expect her efficiency to be game breaking because that would just be a little unfair for everyone else afterwards. But all right, here we go. Peak time. In terms of the lowest efficiency of, you know, people over the midline, we got Lycon here. Now, I'm saying this only because, you know, he does a lot of damage on his own, but he's also insanely satisfying to play. Fun fact, I'm not a furry, but Lycon's trailer was actually the reason why I decided to give Zenless a chance. I saw the attack animations and I was like, this is peak. And then I got Soldier 11 and I didn't get Lycon, and then the rest is history. But I mean, this character is sick. His attack animations are so cool. Also has that really weird flash step tech. I don't even know how people do it, but it looks really silly. But I mean, just like, this character is just so satisfying to use. He does so much stun. Like, he's maybe, you know, half as effective in the stun multiplier as Ching-Yi, but at the same time, he does, you know, ice resistant shred. He is made to help Ellen. It is just so perfect. It just works out so perfectly. And honestly, I mean, the fact that he's a standard banner character is really good too. I mean, you can get him later on if you don't have the selector available. Honestly, I think he deserves a spot, and this is like a kind of like a stone where he will not move at all. Mainly because, I mean, for what he has, and because he's not a, you know, limited banner character, we can't expect him to, you know, fly all over the place, and that's fine. I honestly believe that this is like the perfect spot for him, and if I were to ever do this again, I mean, he's most likely not going to move. And yeah, all right, here we go. We have 4 characters in this top section, all right? 3 out of the 4 are limited, and then we of course have 1 standard banner character here. We're gonna start with our first limited unit, that being Ching-Yi. I mean, her thing is to be on field for however long she needs to get her stack to, you know, apply the stun debuff. But at the same time, I mean, it's just not the most satisfying, but it's at the same tier, like relatively equal to Lycon. It's just really rough because I think she's really good, but I think she also stays on the field a little too long. Like, I just feel like they don't mean as much as Lycon's higher impact attacks. And I don't know, it's a really weird way to put it. And I mean, not much else to say because I really don't have her, but from all the trials, I'm like, I might actually want to switch to Envy here. And having that, it's like, I don't know. He's obviously going to be more efficient though. Limited banner privilege, you know what I'm saying? And I will say that the satisfaction actually comes from the charge attack as well as the held EX special. I think that's where the satisfaction mainly lies, but it's not in the rapid hit at all. It's just really weird. I'm going to avoid, you know, sparking an insane controversy with that. And instead, we're going to move on to Grace, who is our next in line. Good heavens me. This character is so sick. With the express purpose of building shock and just going over and over and over again, I think they stewed so hard with this character because hearing the shock apply, it's so satisfying. And then also just seeing, you know, her appear on the field for like 3 seconds, throwing like 3 grenades, building up another shock instantly. That is so satisfying for me, okay? That is peak gaming. And I've said this before, I don't even know which video it was, but I mentioned this specific situation. This is an incredibly satisfying character that is super efficient with her field time. Like if you need a character that has to, you know, use shock for something and then, you know, switch off field and, you know, have another character that uses it, free 5-star character, it's perfect. It works so well. And that's why she is so good. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. And finally, we're here, the last 2 characters. Oh, jeez. Okay. You already know who these 2 are. And I'm going to give you the order right here. Lighter is lower in efficiency than Caesar. Caesar is actually our corner character, but we're going to do Lighter first. In terms of satisfaction, however, Lighter is how you do a rapid hit character that has real satisfaction associated with it. Like when I see Lighter fly onto the field with quick assist and hit the star platinum punching rush, and I see my buff apply, and I see that stun just fly into the air, and then I hit the last hit of the combo, and then I go into the EX special, hit the follow-up, like I already know the combo by heart, all right? This character is so satisfying to play because of how much he actually does. And do not even get me started on how much damage he's actually able to do. Like, I don't know how many times he's able to hit during his punch rush, but it is ridiculous, okay? It is just crazy. Like, I don't even know what else I have to say because just those things make him so satisfying to play. And he is not even on the field for that long either when he's doing that attack. It's just holy peak. Like, I don't know. I didn't glaze Lighter enough in the previous video, so he's just gonna get extended glaze duration, all right? Okay. Oh, final one. Final one. Oh, jeez. Okay. Caesar is like the peak in terms of everything that you want in terms of efficiency and satisfaction. Okay. When you use the defensive assist, not only are you getting the insane parry sound effect of the defensive assist itself, you are then able to follow up with an insane counterattack that does a huge amount of stun and a huge amount of damage. And on top of that, if she's already on the field and you don't have shield, you can parry the attack with an insane screen shake and sound effect associated with it, which, fun fact, also plays during the cutscene where, you know, they're doing the fake funeral. This character also is on the field very briefly, but being able to appear on the field for less than like a second and having an insanely satisfying attack, like I can use Bennett on the field for Genshin and like, you know, E into Q and I just like fell asleep at the wheel and just bah. But Caesar is able to get away with that because, oh my goodness, that sound design, that animation, everything. It's just so good. Oh my, like this is how you do it. This is how you do your peak, all right? Like there's no other way to describe it. This character is just so good. And even if she is a tier 0 unit, right? She's a tier 0 unit that's actually really fun to play. Like if you're able to pull it off, I think that's like really impressive. And yeah, I mean, I'll throw up the lists here. Oh jeez, man. My throat is dying right now. I've done this all in one sitting. Like, Like, I'm so glad to have been your background noise for like whatever chore you're doing, like washing the dishes or like going for a run or whatever. Like this is way too long, but I think this is like the type of video that I wanted to make originally. But in terms of content, I just didn't have something that I was able to do properly. And also this is something that I was a little afraid of because this took a long time to make. I mean, it's been like almost 3 hours of me recording, and it's gonna be even longer for me to edit because this is ridiculous. I do hope the quality was decent throughout. I mean, join the Discord. We have a lot of cool people here. I mean, I will try to upload a lot more this term because I do have a pretty big off time during the day, but I mean, you'll see how it goes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was at least somewhat interesting because we're not doing just a bland old tier list. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.